Good afternoon. So, our topic for today is all about the endocrine system. The endocrine system interacts with the nervous system in order to control the activity within all the cells in the body. So, let's take a look at how this works now. The endocrine system is comprised primarily of glands, which are organs that secrete a particular compound. So this compound acts as a messenger traveling throughout the bloodstream and delivering that message to the cells all over the body. So these compounds are called hormones. So purely endocrine organs are the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, the thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, adrenal, which has two glands, the cortex and the medulla, and then the endocrine cells in other organs found in the pancreas, thymus, gonads, hypothalamus. The endocrine system general function of hormones help regulate extracellular fluid, metabolism, biological clock, contraction of cardiac and smooth muscle, glandular secretion, some immune function, the growth and development, and reproduction. Overview of endocrine system. System of ductless gland that secrete hormones. Hormones are messenger molecules. It circulates in the blood, act on a distant target cells. Target cells respond to the hormone for which they have receptors. The effects are dependent on the program response of the target cells. Hormones are just molecular triggers. There are basic categories of hormones: the amino acid base, modified amino acids or the amines, the peptides that has a short chain of amino acids, and proteins that has a long chain of amino acids. And the other one is the steroids, the lipid molecule derived from cholesterol. The So we have here the endocrine glands defined as exocrine glands and the endocrine glands. When we say exocrine glands, these glands secrete products into duct which empty into the body cavities or body surface, like produce sweat, oil, mucus, and digestive glands. While the endocrine glands secrete products or hormones into the bloodstream, like in the means of pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid, and adrenal and pineal. Other organs secrete hormones as second function, like hypothalamus, thymus, pancreas, ovaries, testes, kidney, stomach, liver, small intestine, skin, heart, and placenta. So I have here the diagram about the hormone receptor. So we have here the endocrine cell. The circulating hormone will go into the blood capillary, and it has what we call the hormone receptor, which has the distant target cells. Hormones only affect target cells with specific membrane protein called receptors. Circulating and local hormones. When we say circulating hormones act on a distant target, it travels in the blood, where the local hormones, the paracrines act on the neighboring cells, and then the autocrines act on the same cell that secreted them. So lipid soluble hormones are the steroids, lipids derived from cholesterol, thyroid hormones, and nitric oxide in gas. Water-soluble hormones, amines, peptide, and protein hormones, modified amino acids or amino acids put together, serotonin, melatonin, histamine, and epinephrine. Eicosanoids derived from arachidonic acid or fatty acid, prostaglandins, or leukotrienes. Hormone transport in blood. Protein hormone circulates in free form in blood. Steroids and thyroid hormones must attach to transport protein synthesized by liver. This improves transport by making them water-soluble. Slow loss of hormone by filtration within kidney creates severe of hormone. General mechanism of hormone action. Hormone binds to cell surface or receptor inside the target cell. Cell may then synthesize new molecules, change permeability of membrane, alter rates of reaction. Each target cells respond to hormone differently. like liver cells. Insulin stimulates glycogen synthesis. In adipose, insulin stimulates triglyceride synthesis. Action of lipid-soluble hormones. Hormones diffuses through phospholipid bilayer and into the cell. Binds to receptor turning on or off specific genes. New mRNA is formed and direct synthesis of new protein. New protein alters cells activity. Action of water-soluble hormones cannot diffuse through plasma membrane. Hormone receptors are integral membrane proteins. Receptors proteins activates the G protein in membrane, results in amplification of hormones effect. Amplification of hormones effect, the single molecule of hormone binds to receptor, activates 100G protein. Each activates an adenylate cyclase molecule which then produces 1000 CAMP. Each CAMP activates a protein kinase which act upon 1000 of substrate molecule. One molecule of epinephrine may result in breakdown of million of glycogen molecule into glucose molecule. The control of hormone secretion, regulated by signal from the nervous system, chemical changes in the blood or by other hormones. The negative feedback control or the most common decrease or increase in blood level is reversed. The positive feedback control, the change produced by the hormone causes more hormone to be released. Disorder involve either hyposecretion or hypersecretion of a hormone. So we have here the negative feedback system, decrease in blood level, receptors in hypothalamus and thyroid. Cells activated to secrete more TSH or more T3 and T4. Blood levels increase. So we have here the positive feedback. The oxytocin stimulates uterine contraction. Uterine contraction stimulates oxytocin release. So we have here the first one, the labor contractions force baby head or body into the birth canal, thus increase. The controlled condition, this the this the dissection of cervix of uterus, and then the receptor, it stretched receptors in cervix of uterus. And so the input and or the sensory nerve impulses the control center, the hypothalamus and posterior pituitary gland. And then the output is the what we call the effectors, smooth muscle involved of uterus. And then the uterine contraction stimulated by oxytocin push baby farther into birth canal and increase distension of cervix of uterus. And then the interruption of cycle, birth of baby decreases distension of cervix of uterus and interrupts positive feedback cycle. And then that one. Hypothalamus and pituitary gland, both are master endocrine glands since their hormones control other endocrine glands. Hypothalamus is a secretion of brain above where pituitary gland is suspended from stalk. Surround third ventricle. Hypothalamus receive input from cortex, thalamus, limbic system, and internal organs. Hypothalamus control pituitary gland with different releasing inhibiting hormones. The gonadotropin releasing hormone, growth hormone releasing hormone, growth hormone inhibiting hormone. Major integrating link between nervous and endocrine system. The anatomy of pituitary gland. P-shape or one-half glands found in a cilia turcica of sphenoid. Infundibulum attaches it to brain or the hypothalamus. Anterior lobe or the adenohypophysis has 75% developed from the roof of mouth. The posterior lobe or the neurohypophysis is equivalent to 25%. Ends of axon of 10,000 neurons found in the hypothalamus. Neurological cell called pituicytes. So this is the example of the development of pituitary. So the event occurring between 5 and 16 weeks of age. So we have here in the left side the neurohypophyseal bud, and then in the lower part the mouth cavity, and the hypophyseal or the Rox pouch. So it will form into infundibulum, and it will lead to the posterior pituitary gland, the anterior pituitary gland. So ayan. We have here the development of the pituitary gland. Events occurring between 5 and 15 weeks of age. The flow of blood to the anterior pituitary. So we have here the hypothalamus, the primary plexuses of the hypophyseal portal system. So there is what we call the superior hypophyseal artery, found in the upper right, then followed by the hypophyseal portal veins, the sphenoid bone, the anterior pituitary gland, the arrow center part color red, secondary plexuses of the hypophyseal portal system. So we have also the anterior hypophyseal veins. So this part in the right part is the anterior, and in the posterior we have infundibulum, posterior hypophyseal veins, the posterior pituitary gland, and then the capillary plexuses of the infundibular process and the cilia turcica. So, the flow of the anterior pituitary controlling hormones enter the blood, travels to the portal veins, enter anterior pituitary at capillaries. So, we have here the anterior pituitary cells. So, the anterior pituitary cells are the somatotrope, thyrotrope, gonadotrope, lactotrope, corticotrope, and then the somatotrope hormone release HGH, and then while the thyrotrope release TSH, the gonadotrope release hormone FSH and LH, the lactotrope release PRL, and the corticotropes ACTH. The hypothalamic releasing hormone of somatotrope is GHRH, and the thyrotrope is the TRH, gonadotrope, the GnRH, the lactotrope PRH, the corticotrope CRH. So, the inhibiting hormone of somatotrope is the GHIH, and then in the thyrotrope, we have T3 and T4, the thyroid, and then the gonadotrope, we have inhibin, FSH, and then the lactotrope, we have PIH. And then the corticotrope, we have glycocorticoids. So later we will in the next slide we will know what is the meaning of these letters. The human growth hormone produced by somatotrope or somatostatin of anterior pituitary, or the HGH, within target cells increases synthesis of insulin-like growth factors that act locally or enter bloodstream. Common target cells are liver, skeletal muscle, cartilage, and bone. Increases cell growth and cell division. The thyroid-stimulating hormone, or known as TSH, the hypothalamus regulates thyrotrope cell thyrotrope cell produce TSH or the thyroid stimulating hormone, stimulate the synthesis on secretion of T3 and T4. The metabolic rate stimulated in the thyroid gland. The follicle stimulating hormone or the FSH, GnRH from hypothalamus control gonadotropes. Gonadotrope release FSH. FSH or the follicle stimulating hormone function initiate the formation of follicle within the ovary. Stimulates follicle cells to secrete estrogen. Stimulates sperm production in testes. So, in the female, we have ovaries, and then in the male, we have testes. Luteinizing hormone or the LH. GnRH from hypothalamus stimulates gonadotropes. Gonadotrope produce LH or the luteinizing hormone. In female, luteinizing hormones stimulate secretion of estrogen, ovulation of oocyte from ovary, secretion of progesterone. In males, stimulates endocrine cells to secrete testosterone. So, we have here the prolactin or the PRL. Hypothalamus regulate lactotrope cell or PRH. Lactotropes produce prolactin. Under right condition, prolactin causes milk production. Suckling reduces level of hypothalamic inhibition and prolactin level arise along with milk production. Nursing ceases and milk production slows. Adrenocorticotropic hormone or the corticotropin RH stimulates corticotropes. Corticotropes secrete ACTH and MSH. ACTH stimulates cells of or the adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulates cells of the adrenal cortex that produce glucocorticoids. Melanocyte stimulating hormone secreted by corticotrope cell releasing hormone from the hypothalamus increases its release from the anterior pituitary. The function not certain in humans, increased skin pigmentation in frogs. This is the posterior pituitary gland does not synthesize hormone. Consists of axon terminal of hypothalamic neurons or pituicytes or neuroglia. Neurons release two neurotransmitters that enters capillaries, antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. Oxytocin has two target tissues both involved in neuroendocrine reflexes. During delivery, baby's head stretch, cervix, hormone release enhances uterine muscle contraction. Baby and placenta are delivered. After delivery, suckling and hearing baby's cry stimulates milk ejection. Hormone causes muscle contraction and milk ejection. Antidiuretic hormone or the ADH known as vasopressin functions decrease urine production, decrease sweating, increase BP by retaining water. So we have now the anatomy of the thyroid gland. So let's start from the right part. So the right part starts from the superior thyroid artery, followed by the superior thyroid vein, followed by the thyroid cartilage of larynx, internal jugular vein, left lateral lobe of thyroid gland, isthmus of thyroid gland, common carotid artery, inferior thyroid artery, trachea, inferior thyroid veins, and sternum. And in the left part, the right lateral lobe of the thyroid gland. On each side of trachea is lobe of thyroid, weighs 1 ounce and has rich blood supply. So, the histology of the thyroid gland. So, the follicle are the sac of stored hormone or colloid surrounded by follicle cells that produce it T3 and T4. In between cells called parafollicular cells that produce calcitonin. So, actions of thyroid hormones. The T3 or the triiodothyronine, and the T4, the thyroxine or thyroid hormones from follicular cells are known as T3 and T4. Thyroid hormones responsible for our metabolic rates, synthesis of protein, breakdown of fats, use of glucose for ATP production. So, in the lower part of the picture, we have calcitonin or known as CT from parafollicular cells. Calcitonin is responsible for building of bone, stop reabsorption of bone, to lower blood vessel levels of calcium. So, next, we have here the diagram of the parathyroid gland. In the right, let's start on the right. We have right internal jugular vein, right common carotid artery. And then we have the thyroid gland, the right superior parathyroid gland, and then the right inferior parathyroid gland. So, in the lower part, when it looks like tube is the trachea. So, in the left side, we have left superior parathyroid gland, left inferior parathyroid gland, esophagus, left inferior thyroid artery, and the left subclavian artery. So, meron ding left common carotid artery. So, the parathyroid glands, 4 pea-sized gland found on back of thyroid gland. The histology of parathyroid gland. The chief or the principal cells produce parathyroid hormone or the PTH. Oxyphil cell found is unknown. So, the parathyroid hormone raise blood calcium level, increase activity of osteoclast, increase reabsorption of calcium plus 2 by kidney. Promote formation of calcitriol or vitamin D3 by kidney, which increases absorption of calcium plus 2 and magnesium plus 2 by intestinal tract. Opposite function of calcitonin. So, regulation of calcium blood levels. So, we have the number. So, we have here the diagram. So, it has a number. So, let us follow the number. So, the high level of calcium 2 plus in blood stimulates in the thyroid gland parafollicular cells to release, and go to the calcitonin, and calcitonin promotes this deposition of blood calcium 2 plus into bone matrix, which decreases blood calcium 2 plus level. So, the low level of calcium 2 plus in blood stimulates parathyroid gland principal cells to release. So, parathyroid hormone or the PTH hormone promotes release of calcium 2 plus from bone matrix into blood and retards loss of 2 plus in urine, which increase blood calcium 2 plus level. So, the PTH also stimulates the kidneys to release calcitriol. Calcitriol stimulates increased absorption of calcium 2 plus from foods in gastrointestinal tract, which increase blood calcium 2 plus level. So, the regulation of calcium blood level, high or low blood level of Ca2 plus or calcium 2 plus stimulates the release of different hormone, the PTH or the parathyroid hormone or CT or calcitonin. So, we have also here the anatomy of pancreas. So, we have the common hepatic artery, abdominal aorta, celiac trunk, splenic artery, spleen elevated, tail of pancreas, body of pancreas, inferior pancreatic artery, inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery, superior mesenteric artery, the head of the pancreas, the duodenum of small intestine, and the gastroduodenal artery. The organ 5 inches consists of head, body, and tail. The cells are 99% in acini produce digestive enzymes. Endocrine cells in pancreatic islets produce hormones. Cell organization in pancreas. The blood capillary, exocrine acinus, alpha cell that secretes glucagon, beta cell that secretes insulin, the delta cell secretes somatostatin. The F cell secretes pancreatic polypeptide. The exocrine acinar cells surround from the small duct, and the endocrine cells secrete near a capillary. The histology of pancreas. So, we have here the pancreatic islet. 1 to 2 million pancreatic islet contain 4 types of endocrine cells. Cells type in the pancreatic islet. So, we have here the alpha cells, the 20% which consists of 20% produce glucagon. The beta cells, which is equivalent to 70% produce insulin. The delta cells, 5% produce somatostatin, and the F cell produce pancreatic polypeptide. So this is the summarization. So the color blue one is from the hypothalamus, and then the black is from pituitary. When we say TRH, it means thyroid releasing hormone. It will turn into TSH, and then the CR, when it go to the pituitary, magiging TSH siya. So, CRH stands for corticotropin releasing hormone. It will turn into ACTH. The GnRH, or the gonadotropin releasing hormone. The PRH, we have prolactin releasing hormone, turns on PRL. And then we have the GnRH, growth hormone releasing HM, turns on G8. So when you say TSH, remember that is a thyroid stimulating hormone. The ACT stands for adrenocorticotropic hormone. The FSH stands for follicle stimulating hormone. The LH, luteinizing hormone. The G8, growth hormone. The PRL, the prolactin. The MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. The ADH, the antidiuretic hormone, oxytocin. So, the TSH stimulates the thyroid to produce thyroid hormone. The ACTH stimulates the adrenal cortex to produce corticosteroids, aldosterone, and cortisol. FSH stimulates follicle growth and ovarian estrogen production. Stimulates sperm production and androgen binding protection. The LH has a role in ovulation and growth of the corpus luteum, stimulates androgen secretion by intestinal cells in testes. The GH, or aka somatotropic hormone, stimulates growth of skeletal epiphyseal plate and body to synthesize protein. PRL stimulates mammary gland in breast to make milk. The MSH stimulates melanocytes, may increase mental alertness. The ADH, or the antidiuretic hormone, or vasopressin, stimulates the kidney to reclaim more water from the urine. Raises blood pressure. Oxytocin prompts contraction of smooth muscle in reproductive tract in females, initiating labor and ejection of milk from breast. So, let's move on now to the endocrine system of the animals. The three invertebrate hormones. The three hormones play a major role in molting and metamorphosis into adult shape and form. The brain hormone produced by neurosecretory cells in insect brain. It stimulates and the release of ecdysone from the prothoracic gland. Ecdysone promotes molting and development of adults characteristic. These two are balanced by the third hormone. The juvenile hormone promotes the retention of larval characteristic. Invertebrate regulatory system. Invertebrate produce a variety of hormones in typical hormone secreting endocrine cells and neurosecretory cell. Most of these hormones function in reproduction and development. In aplysia, for example, specialized nerve cells secrete a neurohormone that stimulates the laying of thousands of eggs and also inhibits feeding and locomotion. So the arthropods, all groups of arthropods possess extensive endocrine system. Crustaceans have hormones that function in growth and reproduction, water balance, movement of pigment in the integument and eyes, and regulation of metabolism. Most insects get their adult characteristic in a single terminal molt, and molting is usually triggered by a hormone. So, the class Insecta. The neurosecretory, neurohemal, and endocrine structure are all found in the insect endocrine system. There are several neurosecretory centres in the brain, the largest being the pars intercerebralis. The paired corpora cardiaca or the singular corpus cardiacum and the paired corpora aleata or singular is the corpus aleatum are both neurohemal organs that stored brain neurohormones, but each has some endocrine cells as well. The ventral nerve cord and associated ganglia also contain neurosecretory cells and have their own neurohemal organs. The multiple perisympathetic organ located along the ventral nerve cord, the insect endocrine system produce neurohormones as well as hormones that control molting, diapause, reproduction, osmoregulation, metabolism, and muscle contraction. So we have here the neurohemal organ, the corpora cardiaca, B in the diagram, and the corpora aleata, which is C. The corpora cardiaca release a protoracicotropic hormone or the PTTH, only release PTTH when receive signal from brain. And the corpora aleata manufacture juvenile hormone, inhibits development of an adult characteristic during immature stages, promotes sexual maturity during the adult stage. So this is the diagram of the neurosecretory cell, the neurohemeral organ, general circulation, and the target cells. Yes. In the diagram A, a nerve signal or arrow are translated into neurohormones which enter the circulation at the neurohemal organ, reaching the target cells via bloodstream. In the diagram 2, release of neurohormone close to target cells without intervention of bloodstream. So this is the diagram of neurosecretory cell brain. The corpus aleata, has a brain hormone, prothoracic gland, molting hormone, and then it will undergo to metamorphosis. Tapos, sa juvenile hormone, it will undergo to larva, pupa to adult. So, the endocrine system in class Insecta. The metamorphosis is controlled by hormones. Molting is controlled by ecdysone. Final transition to adult is controlled by the juvenile hormone. Absence of hormone stop molting process. So we have egg, the hatching, the first stage of nymph, the first molt, the second nymph, the second molt, the third stage nymph, third molt, the fourth stage of nymph, the fourth molt, the fifth stage of nymph, and then the fifth molt, then to adult, and then the cycle goes. Hormones and endocrine glands in insects have prothoracic glands or manufacture ecdysteroids, production of chitin and proteins epidermal cells, results in flow of event that may result primarily in molting. Prothoracic glands disappear after molting when they are not needed, released and stimulated by the PTTH or the prothoracicotropic hormone from the corpora cardiaca located behind the brain. The corpora aliata manufactures juvenile hormone. Neurosecretory cells regulate activity of corpora aliata. Neurosecretory cells found in the cluster secrete brain hormone. Ovaries and testes produce gonadal hormones that coordinate courtship and mating behaviors. Similarities in humans and insects. Humans also have neurosecretory cells. Secondary sex hormones in humans are the androgens or the testosterone and estrogen, similar to gonadal hormone in insect. The juvenile hormone promotes adult maturity in insect, as do many of the sex hormones in humans. The pancreas in the non-mammals is an endocrine gland that secretes insulin, glucagon, and somatostatin. Pancreatic polypeptide has been identified in birds and may occur in other groups as well. Insulin lowers blood sugar or hypoglycemia in most vertebrates. Although mammalian insulin is rather ineffective in reptiles and birds, glucagon is a hyperglycemic hormone. It increases the level of sugar in blood. So the fish. So this is the endocrine system of the fish. So fish have a unique neurosecretory neurohemal organ, the orophysis, which is associated with the spinal and the base of the tail. Although the functions of this caudal neurosecretory system are not now understood, it is known to produce two peptides, the orotensin 1 and the orotensin 2. Orotensin 1 is chemically related to the family of peptides that includes somatostatin. Orotensin 2 is a member of a family of peptide that includes mammalian corticotropic releasing hormone or the CRH. There are no homologous structures to either the corpuscle of Stanius or the orifices in amphibian, reptile, or birds. So in the phylum Nemerti worms are primitive marine animals that lack a coelom or body cavity but differ from other acoelomates or animals that lack a coelom by having complete digestive tract. Three neurosecretory centers have been identified in the simple Nemertine brain. One center controls the maturation of the gonads, and all three appear to be involved in osmotic regulation. In the phylum Annelida, the cerebral ganglion or the brain of Nereis, a marine polycate worm, produces a small peptide hormone called nereiden, which apparently inhibits precocious sexual development. There is a complex just beneath the brain that functions as a neurohemal organ. The epithelial cells found in this complex may be secretory as well, but this has not been proved. Neurohormones are released from the infracerebral complex into the coelomic fluid through which they travel to their targets. In the lugworm Arenicola, there is an evidence for a brain neuropeptide that stimulates oocyte maturation. In the horse, so this is the endocrine system of the horse. The horse has pituitary gland, parathyroid glands, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, ovaries for the female, and testes for the male, and pancreas. Same as the cat and the dog, that they have also pituitary gland, parathyroid glands, adrenal glands, thyroid glands, pancreas, ovaries for female, and testes for male.